James J, and this is my mini lecture on strategy. And particularly, what I'm thinking about is different strategies for wrapping up this semester, and these potentially can be useful for your other classes as well. So, when I talk about strategy, what do I mean? I mean, have one. That is to say, we've got a certain amount of assignments in here, and it's possible to be overwhelmed by the number of assignments. You start thinking, I have all these things to do. I've got the 3 assignments on poetry, and I'm just wrapping up my assignment on nonfiction, whatever it might be. I don't have this certain reading load. All these things. If you start doing that and thinking about it from the perspective of all the stuff I have for this class, and then you start thinking about, I know that a few folks have some pretty heavy loads in here, 5 classes, that's a heavy load. If you start thinking about it from other classes, okay, I have all these things to do, then all these things to do, all these things to do. It can seem pretty daunting and overwhelming, and it's tempting to say, I'm just going back to sleep, man. Forget about it, right? And that is a perfectly normal response if you come at it from that angle. So rather what I would encourage you to do in this class, or in your other classes as well, is figure out what you need to overall what you need to do, and put a time limit on that. I'd say take 10 minutes. Get your stuff together as far as your syllabus for here, your notes from this class, and if you want to do the same thing with other classes you're taking, get all those things together and say, okay, I'm going to take 10 minutes and I'm going to write down everything I need to do to get this semester done with. And it's going to be probably a big list, and it's going to seem intimidating. Get it down. Give yourself a time limit. If you wander around thinking, oh, and you start dreading it, all that kind of stuff, it's awful when it's just kind of pent up in your brain. So get it out of your brain, get it onto the page. Right? So get all those strategies written down, and I like to write on a clipboard because it seems official, right? So get it down on the clipboard where you can start working with this stuff. Write it down, and then after 10 minutes, don't go 10 minutes and 5 seconds. 10 minutes exactly. Get everything down there. If you can do it faster than that, great. But to get everything down on the page, kind of look at what you have. Okay, what do I need to do? What's the first thing? And start check mark those things, right? Just pick off one thing at a time. So it might look like a big intimidating project. Let's say between this class and 5 others, you've got 27 things left to do. Okay, 27 things. I can't do that all at once right now. I'm going to do the first one. What's the most pressing? Boom. Second. Boom, boom, boom. Just keep knocking through that thing until you get that kind of critical mass. Also, it's worthwhile to use a strategy in terms of looking at with this class. We have a lot of flexibility, and that's designed with this being online like that. So you can probably move this one around a little bit. But with regards to other classes, you might have very specific deadlines as far as presentations for certain classes. Overall, kind of heavy, longer exams, not just the quick quizzes we do each week. But you might have more significant exams, whatever it might be. Get a calendar, start marking those things out, and figure out what you can get done and whatnot in that certain amount of time. Okay, and the main thing is, if you're feeling overwhelmed by it, pick something. Right, get doing on that something, and check that thing off. Then you got your list. You can kind of go through, and I love going through a list. If I had 27 things, and I start knocking through there, sometimes I'll use different use a green marker to knock things off and write it in black ink and circle it in blue ink if it's almost half complete. I don't know. You can have your own color scheme strategies if you want. Something that lets you kind of visually see that you're knocking these things out. When it's in your head, it can be overwhelming. Get it onto the page where you can see it, you can work with it, you can start getting a handle on that thing. And if nothing else, just grab one thing at random, get that done, right? And then when you start looking through that list, you'll start finding, I think, that you get a certain momentum. Now, if this little 5-minute mini lecture, if that's something that you do all the time, you think, oh my goodness, old man, this is so obvious. I do this all the time. That's great. Good job. Sorry for using the last 4 minutes, 4 seconds. You can hit pause on the video. You don't have to ever think about it again. If this is something, though, that you do feel like you get overwhelmed from time to time with the amount of stuff left to do, or trying to figure out how to shape that, then you can always refer back to this video. The main thing, though, that I'd emphasize is get that stuff down on the page as far as all these things that can be overwhelming. Get them down where you can start working with them, and then just have a little bit of strategy. What is most pressing based on deadlines that you absolutely can't be late for? Get those things highlighted and taken care of. Figure out what other things can flex and move, and knock those things out. Hopefully that'll be useful for you for this semester, for this class, for any of the other classes, and in other classes as well. And the same thing applies when you're applying for jobs. And in the whether you're in the private sector or whatever kind of work environment, same thing. Get it all down on the page so it's not overwhelming. Okay, Good luck.